Good afternoon, kings and queens. This is Joe from Spike TCG and you are watching my first ever video. This will be my deck profile on one of the best decks in the current format, at least before the banlist hits anything, Zoodiac Eldlich. Eldlich comes as no surprise to anyone that's been playing this game since like the last year. The incredible grind game this deck provides is second to none, and with an engine like full power Eldlich, longer games will tilt more and more in your favor. Meanwhile, Zoodiac is an incredible 8 to 9 card engine where drawing just one of them can end on a Trident or a Zeus with like, I don't know, 6 materials, 3 board wipes, crazy stuff really. And this engine helps you survive early game before the Eldlich part of the deck really picks up. And then Zeus can blow out your opponent while you don't suffer as much from the board wipe because you have Eldlich stuff, they just recur themselves infinitely. Alright, so into the deck profile. Firstly, we're on the standard Eldlich engine, is same as everyone else really. 2 Eldlich, 3 Outland, 3 Sanguine, 3 Conch, and 3 Huaquero. And sometimes people run 2 Huac, you can run 2 if you want. I just like 3 because I think the effect is really good against the current meta. You can just banish any card, not just monsters. So you can get rid of Meteonis, stuff like virtual world spells and traps before they activate. Yeah, it's really good, I think. Here we have Ram. For the Zoodiac engine, we have triple Ram, 1 True Blade, 1 Whiptail, 1 Barrage, and triple Tenki. Basically, this is basically just 9 Zoodiacs. Each one of these ends on any of these black cards in the extra deck. Just one is enough. So the one we run 3 copies of is Ram because Ram has 2000 defense, which makes it harder to run over if you go first, and it also protects your Xyz against targeted traps like impermanence and stuff like that. True Blade has 1600 attack to run over other monsters easier, and the effect to discard and draw lets you just cycle through cards, which is really good because you don't really want too many Zoodiacs in your hand, especially if going first, because only one of them really does something. So you can turn your Zoodiac into other cards basically. Yeah, it's really good. And Whiptail, oh boy, Whiptail I think is really underrated. This card lets you remove some problem cards like Dragoon because it doesn't target and doesn't destroy, it just banishes on attack, and also it gives 1200 attack as a quick effect. So this card is basically
damage step.
You no way, bro! Fuck Kaloo! Oh my god!
Yeah, you get the idea. And the 1 Barrage and triple Tenki is basically just more Zoodiacs can turn into any of the first 5, and you can use the cards as cost to revive Eldlich. Then we're on to the hand traps. We're on 9 of these, and we have triple Ash, triple Crow, and triple Skullmeister. Well, first off, Ash Blossom. This card is honestly this card works on everything. I think any deck these days searches something at least once, and if they don't search, probably lose to your cards anyway. So yeah, no reason not to run this. And DD Crow I think is really good in the current meta because same reason as Huaquero above, it can banish not only monsters but also spells and traps, so you can stop things like Drytron Alpha and stuff like Nyan while also dealing with spells and traps pretty well. And Skullmeister also for the same reason, because it stops effects that activate in the graveyard, and there's a lot of them. And I think DD Crow is overall more impactful, but Skullmeister is a really nice card to have to cover. So if your opponent activates something that DD Crow can deal with, sometimes there's Skullmeister. Like for example, your opponent activates Absol Router Dragon's effect. in Dragon Link, you can discard Skullmeister to negate, whereas the Crow won't do anything to it. So, but I prefer two of these rather than stuff like Ghost Bell because they're not hard ones per turn. And then we have triple Pot of Prosperity. So, this card. The card everyone's been talking about from the last set, Blazing Vortex, and that's for a really good reason. This card helps you find pieces you are missing, which is very important because Eldlich is a 2-card combo deck. You need the Elixir, and you also need the Conquistador and Huaqueros. Sometimes if you only have one, your turn one is just really bad. And also, in case you do have both, this card is still useful because you can just search any of the Zoodiacs with Prosperity. So I think this is really nice. I think this is the best pot card for Zoodiac Eldlich. They don't really need extra hand because this deck doesn't struggle with resource at all. Their resource game is probably the best in the meta right now. So it's more about having the right pieces to survive turn 1. And then for the utility cards, we have triple Droplet and triple Solemn Strike. And I think all 6 of these cards can stop your opponent mid-combo, and there's not many ways to play around them because this card just can't be responded to, and this card is spell speed 3. Well, I think Eldlich makes Droplet even better in particular because these cards you can just send them to the graveyard and you don't really lose resources because of this. I used to have Torrential Tribute here, but I find that Torrential has some problems with the deck. But Droplet is really expensive, so if you can't afford it, then Torrential is also really, really good in the current meta, especially. And then to the extra deck. So the first 11 cards, yeah, I think everyone knows that Zoodiac decks always do this. Like 1 Trident, 2 Borbo for direct attacking, so you can make Zeus, and then free materials for Zeus and the Zeus. The Zeus is just crazy. Yeah, this card is really, really insane. It's Exiton on crack, basically. You can board wipe them like 2 to 3 times, not even once per turn, once per chain. This card is broken. And then for the links, for utility, we have Nightmare Phoenix and Ausa for generic link 2s. And Phoenix lets you pop a spell trap, and Ausa lets you climb to link 3, which gets us to Nightmare Unicorn. This card lets you spin something on the board. It still targets, which isn't the best, but it doesn't destroy, so it can get around some cards or like just avoid some floating effects. And next we have Black Lasso Soldier of Chaos. This card can win games by itself if your opponent doesn't deal with it, because the effect just keeps snowballing the longer it lives. And you can just make this card with an Eldlich because it's level 10, and this card gains the Dragoon effect when it's level 7 or higher. It's used as material. Anyway, that's all for the extra deck. Now for the side deck, we run triple Nibiru and triple Cycle Reader for hand traps. Nibiru is here to beat Virtual World. Basically, Virtual World basically makes no negates before the VFD, so you can Nibiru them at any point unless they can make 2 VFD and try to use the first one to stop light, in which case you just summon the Nibiru there, chain Nibiru to VFD. There's no way Virtual Worlds can fully stop Nibiru. And this card also stops other combo decks in general, like Dragon Link, if you know where to drop it. Next, Ally of Justice Cycle Reader. This card beats Drytron really hard. You banish their Alpha and Zeta in the graveyard, and they really can't do anything unless they have more copies, and even then you basically just stop them from using the card for the rest of the turn, because It's because Drytrons are hard once per turn. But I think when it comes to Drytron, you use either Cycle Reader or Droll. But I think Cycle Reader is better than Droll if it's for Eldlich, because Eldlich is a control deck that likes long games. You can't just win on turn 2 after you hand trap them turn 1. And Droll is like more impactful turn 1, but in the long game they just carry on as usual unless you have more draws. While with Cycle Reader, you stop them this turn, and then the next turn their Alpha or Zeta or anything is still banished. They just still can't do anything unless they lock sack and top deck, and even if they top deck, you can have more Cycle Readers. So it's really hard for them to deal with this, and it affects them a lot in the long game. Next, for the mirror match, we are siding in Cosmic Cyclone and Harpy's Feather Duster. So Duster is pretty self-explanatory. This card is just insane against any back row. But for Cosmic Cyclone, I think there's argument to use Lightning Storm instead of this. But I think Cosmic Cyclone is still better. Why? Because like Lightning Storm just gets worse and worse as the game goes on, because when you still have cards, you cannot use it. And Eldlich likes long games. And again, if I blow them out and I don't win right there, they just get more resources, especially if they're also playing Eldlich, because I destroy these things and they just make more traps. If I can't finish them off there, there's no point using Lightning Storm. That's why I use Cosmic Cyclone, because Cosmic Cyclone keeps the spell and traps banished, so it really stops them from recurring some things. It even works on Meteonist Drytron, even if it doesn't negate their effect, but it does stop them from regaining the resource by getting back the Meteonist spell card. And lastly, the last 5 cards here are for going first. We're on 3 Solemn Judgment, 1 Imperial Order, and 1 Skill Drain. Judgment and Order here, I always side in when I know I'm going first. Why? Because, well, I know they're just gonna side in Lightning Storm and Duster against Eldlich. It's just the standard now. So by having these cards, this lets me protect my back row, so I can, I don't just get my back row blown out and then OTK'd for no reason. It's really useful. And Order, I think, is also really good against the current meta. On top of that, it stops spot cards, it stops like Kowloon, and it stops Meteonist stuff. There's a lot of decks with spells right now and in the meta, and Imperial Order really beats them hard. Now Skill Drain. Skill Drain is more situational. This card actually doesn't beat the meta. Like Virtual World or Drytron don't care much about this, because a good amount of their effects activate in the hand and not the field. But when it works really well. Like you drop this against a Dragon Link player on their Romulus, just can't do anything anymore because all their one-off searches are gone, and they need the one-offs to extend the combo. So yeah, this is pretty situational, and I think even if this was not limited, I would only run 1, because in the current meta it's just not so good. But against decks that actually lose to Skill Drain, I will side this in when I go first. Anyway, that's it for the deck profile. Until the next ban list drops, I think this archetype is the strongest control in the game. If you want to play control and you want the strongest one, this is it. Eldlich, Zoodiac. You can't get any better than this. Anyway, that's it for the deck profile. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification button below. If you guys have any questions or opinions about this deck profile, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, stay winning, and I'll see you in the next video.